Hello and welcome to Unfinished Furniture of Wilmington, your #1 source for all things solid wood furniture, finished and unfinished, for every room of your home. Today we're going to go ahead and talk to you about some of our table bases. This will be the first in a series of many videos that we're going to produce on some of the product that we do sell here at our store. Today we're going to go through and assemble one of our most popular table bases, the T-10B Java base. For some of our contractors and tradesmen, this may be a little redundant, but for some of our homeowners that are going through and trying to basically save their tabletop but change out their look of their table base, this will be very, very informative. So please, let's go through and start the process of assembly. Now that we remove the last piece of plastic from all the threads, the thread protectors, we'll go through and we'll start our assembly of the legs onto our table base. This is a little bit easier to do having it facing towards me, but for demonstration purposes, just so you can see it going together, I'll do it on the side here just so you can go through and see it. Flat washer, lock washer, and then the nut. Now that we got our final leg on, I want to stand it on up and show you the dimensions of this table and kind of explain a few different aspects of it. So this is our assembled base. We do have our studs up over here. You'll notice that you still have some hardware left over. That is for your plate attachment. But what I wanted to go through and show you was this particular base assembled is 26 inches tall. And I'll get to the reasoning behind that in just a second. But also importantly, the leg spread on here from end to end is 35 inches. Why is it 35 inches? Because it'll work with a 42-inch table, a 48-inch, a 52, or a 60. Having our 10-inch column, it's sturdy enough to support all of those diameters. You want to make sure that your leg spread does not exceed the width of your table. So for instance, if you had a 36-inch diameter tabletop, this would be a little bit too big, as you would be a ½ inch from either side of your table. Now that we have our table base together, remember that 26-inch height that I was talking about before. Standard table height is 30 inches. So we now have to build up the distance between the 26 to your final 30-inch. So we're going to have you fabricate some type of wood plate to go on the top of this. I just happen to have one here that comes with our table tops. We do not have this one for sale separately, so you'll have to fabricate your own. It's just a 3/4 inch wood base. You can always do this out of plywood if you want to. What you can do is you can put a piece of manila folder over the top and puncture that if you want to with the manila folder, and you'll get your whole pattern that you would wind up transferring over to your wood plate. But I'm just going to throw this one on here since I already have it done, just to go ahead and illustrate what we're talking about here. And now, instead of being 26, you're now 26 3/4. And then you would go through and you would attach your mounting hardware to the top, just like so. Flat washer, lock washer, and then nut. And again, you can use their wrench supplied, or to make life easier, you can use a 13mm wrench. It just makes the process go that much quicker, that much easier. And again, we'll just repeat this process 3 more times and I'll illustrate the next point to you. Now that we've got our last bolt on, I'm going to move this down to the floor. I'm going to show you the next step in the process. So on the base, ignore the fact that it's moving. It does have leveling feet on the bottom of it, but you'll see that we have 3 holes on the side. You'll have to drill those into your wood plate that you get as well. Those are designed to go through and fasten a vertical upright. Vertical upright will take this from 23¼ inches up to 29¼ That's assuming if you have a 3/4 inch wood top to get you to your final 30-inch height that you need. Basically, what I would do on the bottom, I would use a threaded brass wood insert and make sure that they do line up with the series of holes that you have created on the bottom. And then what you can do is you can use any bolt, but what we've got up over here, flat washer, we have a metric flathead, or sorry, a Allen head up over here, just to go through and line up with these. So basically what we would do is line these up and just screw these in place. On this particular one, I've got 3 per side. You can do 2 if you want to, depending on the side of the table. You just want to make this a sturdy platform. And then as these are going on, you'll actually see a series of holes up over here. I'll explain that to you in just a moment. Right? Before we attach these completely, I wanted to go through and bring up a point that you'll need to go through and do prior to the final assembly with your tabletop. You'll see a series of holes up over here. That is for our attachment from our base up to our tabletop. So what I'll need you to go ahead and do in your uprights, again, this will vary in thickness depending on how thick your tabletop is. Again, we're assuming that it is a 3/4 inch top. So if it's a 3/4 inch top, this one here measures basically 2 5/8 inches tall. So basically you will drill a pilot hole, so this way our screw can pass through, and then you'll drill another hole to countersink. You'll have to vary your depth, put a piece of painter's tape on that drill bit as you're drilling down so that you don't go too far. You pop that screw through, and just make sure that you do not protrude past the thickness of your tabletop, because again, this is going to be upright like this, and the screw is going to come up and through this way. So you don't want to go through and accidentally screw through your tabletop that you're trying to go through and save and salvage utilizing our brand new bases. And you'll notice here I've taken your wood plate that you've created off the top of the pedestal, and then I've attached it to your uprights. You're going to have to do this prior to screwing these down, because you want to, one, make sure that these are lined up going across the grain. As well, you want to make sure that you've got it dead center. Last thing you want to do is go through all of this work, screw it down, and all of a sudden your table base is askew from the center. That would negate all this hard work that you just put on in. So again, you want to just screw these on, make sure everything lines up, and then go through and center this on your table. Now that we have our vertical uprights here, we have our base, we're going to do our final assembly. So just lift this up. Again, our 3 holes that we had you drill from the outset. Go through and line those up over here, and you'll put that in. Again, these screws are supplied with our tabletop. These are something along with those brass wood inserts that you'd have to get. You know, this, because they're exposed, you don't necessarily have to go through and get them with the Allen head. If you wanted to get hex head, you can. These happen to be metric. If your local hardware store has them in a fractional size, you can do that as well. Just make sure that this part is thick enough in order to get that base. Some may say, hey, why don't I just screw it together? Well, when you start dealing with a 60-inch tabletop or 54-inch tabletop, you don't want to go through and build it in the room, and then all of a sudden your wife goes, oh yeah, we're going to move, we're going to do the floors, and you now have to rip apart your brand new table. So if you can get something where you can go through and disassemble it quite easily, life will be much, much better. And last thing I want to do is intimidate anybody that is looking at doing this project saying this is way too much effort for me. It's really not. A lot of the older tables that you're trying to go through and salvage may come with some uprights, may come with some wood plates to where it's easy enough just to go through and drill a brand new series of holes. I wanted to go through and show you and highlight, if you actually had nothing and wanted to go through and start from scratch, what would be entailed in attaching our table base to your existing tabletop. Again, bear in mind, you'll have some variances in what we just showed you depending on the size or the thickness of your actual tabletop here. So that is basically it. I'll flip it on over and I'll show you exactly what it looks like at the very end. And again, this table base does fit a 42, 48, 52, 60-inch diameter table. For ease and illustration purposes, I chose the smallest, but it really does look well on a much bigger tabletop. And there we go, a T-10B pedestal on top of a T142 tabletop, solid parawood. All right, thank you for watching the assembly video on the T-10B Java pedestal base. Again, I don't want anybody to be intimidated by the long process that we just showed. It is quite easy, and I just want to be able to go through and express to you the value in real wood, being able to go through and utilize your existing tabletop. It's not a throwaway item. If it has some sentimental value, you really like it, want to keep it, there is a way to go ahead and do that. If you have any questions, any comments, please feel free to drop us a line at the store. You can see our phone number on our website or visit us at unfinishedfurnitureofwillmington.com.